If you pass a stadium or park and the music's pumping and it looks like fun, if you see teams of your friends and neighbors and people you work with, if it looks like a party one minute and it touches your heart the next, join in. It's the American Cancer Society Relay for Life. Last year, over 3,300 communities in the United States, plus cities in 8 foreign countries, held Relay for Life events and took up the fight against cancer. It started in 1985. One man, Dr. Gordy Klatt, a colorectal surgeon, and one track for 24 hours straight, an incredible gesture to honor his cancer patients and raise money to help the American Cancer Society fight cancer with the latest information, the newest medical and scientific research, advocacy for better laws and health care, and compassionate services for all cancer patients and their families. Today, more than 2.5 million people and almost 500,000 cancer survivors form Relay for Life teams, big and small, who raise money, a little or a lot. Camp out all night, having an absolute blast. Remember loved ones and walk in their honor. And celebrate life.
The first time I participated in Relay for Life, I had no idea what to expect. And I received the sash and I received the medallion. Then they said, okay, it's time for all the survivors to take the first lap around the track. All of a sudden, everybody lines the track. And as you're walking, people are just clapping and cheering you on, and they're just so happy that you have beat this disease. And it is just so emotional. I couldn't stop crying, you know.
Millie's story began as so many cancer stories do.
One evening we were over here at the house, and my mom had invited Teresa and I over for dinner. And after dinner, she invited us into the den area with my father.
And she decided to tell all of us at one time that she had breast cancer.
I really didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say to Kevin as a wife, because I've never gone through that with a parent.
And I would go in the garage, I would say, Lord, please don't take her from me. You know, I really would. Please. Please let her survive this. And he did. He did. See what I'm saying? He did.
I tell people, and people look at me like I'm crazy, but I really thank God that I came down with cancer. And I say that because it made me closer to him, it made me closer to my family, and it just gives you a better outlook on life.
Millie is a 4-year survivor now, and she's become an American Cancer Society Reach to Recovery volunteer, a support program for other women with breast cancer. But all of her knowledge and experience couldn't prepare her for the next time her family heard the word cancer.
The end of May, beginning of June, I went back to the doctor after giving birth to my daughter. It was actually a 6-month checkup. My OB found it doing a routine exam. He just felt something that he said didn't feel right, and he wanted to check it out.
When you think of somebody with cancer, you think of someone with my age, but certainly not 30 years old.
When she first told me, that moment, I probably felt more alone than I ever had in my life, because I felt like, okay, my mother went through this, and by the grace of God, she was healed. And no sooner than she gets out of that situation, now here comes my wife. And the first question is, will God heal her also?
It was while Millie and Tatrice were both recovering that Millie was asked to become an organizer for her local American Cancer Society Relay for Life.
Because at that time, there was no representation from African Americans. So I said, absolutely, I will do it without any hesitation.
And she loves what she does in Relay for Life. It's just like it's her life.
Relay is just awesome. It is a way of honoring survivors and remembering people who have died of cancer. And it is an event that everyone can get involved with.
It was amazing to me. I'd heard so much about it, had seen so much about it, but had never gone until last year was our first year. And I saw the tents where the teams camped out overnight and just all the different activities, and especially the illuminating ceremony. I think that really put things in perspective for me, because again, I was still going through my treatments.
Relay for Life really opened my eyes to see how cancer does not discriminate. And you see people from all walks of life, rich and poor and black and white, and it doesn't matter at that point who's out there, because the real focus is on the cancer and the surviving and family. Here, out of an illness that can affect so many, is bringing all of us together. Mm-hmm. And through that, you draw strength from each other.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Flame of Hope is headed for Todd Stadium.
There are Kathy and Roger Cawthon. They've known each other since high school, although it wasn't exactly love at first sight.
There's a photograph of us in our high school yearbook that's a perfect example of the way things actually were, because he is standing behind me in the photograph, and I recall that he was pinching me on the behind. And I remember standing there as the photographer took the photograph thinking, I cannot stand this person standing behind me. He is so obnoxious. Roger is a very what you see is what you get kind of guy. You will not find any hidden agendas. You will not find any closed pages.
She is the sweetest, the nicest, the kindest. How many adjectives do you want? She is absolutely, she's the best. She's absolutely, I got the better end of this deal.
6 years ago, their easy, warm laughter and their lives were interrupted by cancer.
We were walking around, minding our own business, living our lives. There were no symptoms until all hell broke loose. I started having a few problems. I was passing blood. And that'll get your attention. And I immediately went to the doctor and I said, this cannot be good. And he said, you're right. And he immediately started doing some very serious tests. And he says, you have cancer. I'll never forget it. The world went into slow motion.
Roger had the type of cancer for which there is no chemotherapy or radiation treatment that has been found to be effective. His is a type of cancer that they either get it with surgery or they don't.
I was very, very lucky in that it had not spread. It was totally encased inside the kidney and had not come out anywhere. So they were able to remove my right kidney, which is a bummer because that was my favorite kidney. We take life for granted. Everyone does. I know I did. You go through each day and you really don't think about what you have. I was still recovering from my surgery. I was still at home. I don't think I'd gone back to work yet.
You were still in bed.
I was still recovering from my cancer surgery when she came out of the shower one morning crying, saying, what is this? And she had found a lump on her breast, and it was large and it was extruding, and it wasn't there a day or two before.
After my diagnosis, when we were dealing with the reality that in a 6-week time frame we had both been diagnosed with cancer, again, as a mom, I began thinking about the children and thinking, now there's a very real possibility that they could lose both parents. I did become very frightened and for a period very depressed. I could not sleep, I could not eat. I lost 18 pounds in 3 weeks. And as you can see, I've recovered nicely. I'm sorry,
That's
I couldn't pass that.
After their recovery, Kathy and Roger heard about the American Cancer Society Relay for Life and got involved.
So we went out there, and there were a couple of hundred people, and we raised a couple of $1,000, and we got to take a survivor's lap around the track.
There was a
Still
moment.
very emotional.
Relay was just cool. It just lifted our spirits immediately. And we ran into a bunch of people we knew, friends of ours, that we did not realize were going through the same thing.
Having a lot of people who've got your back, as the kids say. You feel like if you ever have to face it again, and there's always that possibility, even when you're a survivor, that you may have to face it again. But now we know that we have lots and lots of people behind us, and we'll be okay.
I'm not going to do it again. I had it. I didn't like it. I ain't doing it again. My wife and I have a favorite saying that sometimes we think about every breath that we take, and we appreciate it. We never thought about that before, but it's so much more meaningful now.
If there's a cancer survivor you want to honor, if you'd like to meet others who've been touched by cancer, if your community has taken up the fight against cancer, and if you want to be a part of the next American Cancer Society Relay for Life event, call us toll-free 24 hours a day or visit our website, cancer.org, for information about cancer and the Relay for Life. Join in for the people you know and the people you'll meet.
You never want to go back to where you were. You never want to go back to where you take life for granted. You never want to forget. And that's one thing that Relay has done for us. It's helped us stay involved with people who are just now going through what we went through 6 years ago.
I could have easily passed as ill as I was with this disease, but I did not. And because I didn't, then I want to make my life worthwhile. And this is one of the main reasons why I got involved with Relay for Life.